Yo. All right. Shit. Mm. Yeah. You're right. Okay. Mhm. Mm. Oh. Oh yeah. Let me pop it up. Let me pop it up. Okay. Yeah. The kid. I heard myself. Okay. Got it. Mm, 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 mm.
Hey,
All right.
I see Ninja Sharks here. If anybody else is here, just put something in the chat so we know that y'all can hear us and
Oh,
everything's good.
Shark, my
The
boy.
shark is here. The shark. Let's make sure that the homie is here, that everybody can hear us and they're ready. They're ready like spaghetti. We about to talk about this thing, man.
Yes, sir.
Shoot, I'm about to remove this.
You can't hear my keyboard, right?
Nah.
Okay. Just making sure.
Cool. Hey, I see Ninja Shark in the house. Alright, let me get these notes up.
Oh, wait. Is that the text that you sent me?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'll pull it up too.
I put everything in order just so we can stay on target.
Sounds good.
What is alright? Alright, reopen. I'm just looking at everything, making sure it's good and clean. You can see it on your end?
Yes.
Alright, bet. Well, then that means that it's good. It says that some people are here in this thing, so they're just not putting nothing in the chat. But either way, what's up, everybody? Y'all know who this is. This is Shinjitsu. I'm here with the homie Montati.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And we did a thing, man. Now that I'm down here in Texas, you know what I'm saying? We linked up, went to go see Spider-Man No Way Home. On opening night, we both went the day before individually on the 16th. So I figured what we'll do first for the stream, and of course, if you're watching this later, you can just go through, rewind back and forth. First thing we're going to do is talk about our individual experiences. Then we'll chop it up, talk about how it was when we went with each other. And then we're just going to kind of break down this whole movie, man, go through all the scenes, the whole plot, what we kind of think about it, our overall thoughts and impressions, and where we see the future of the MCU going.
Yes. Yes.
All right, man. Well, I'll let you start, man. How was your first experience going to the theater? Because this is a theater movie. This is a film you have
for sure,
to
for
see
sure.
in the theater. So, what was your experience going to the theater for the first time?
Okay. So, going to the theater for the very first time, saw it on Thursday, which was the first day that it was in theaters in the U.S., I believe. Because I think on Wednesday it was in other countries, but that's besides the point. So, I went to see it on Thursday at around like 4, I think. Me and my friend found it on a website and had watched it before the night before. But when I tell you, it's so much different when you see it in a theater. Like, yo,
Crazy.
You literally you have to see it on the big screen to get the full experience. I feel bad for people like 10, 15 years down the line that are watching it on like Blu-ray and stuff
Yeah, it's
because
not the
they're not
same.
even gonna get the same experience.
It's not the same. I do.
It was crazy.
I didn't want to ask you, bro. If you can hear on your end, is the music too loud? It like can they hear it? Is it too low? I just want to make sure that people can hear it.
No, it's a good volume. I just heard it. Yeah.
All right, cool, perfect. Yeah, bro. So, I mean, I'm sure your first viewing too, like you had a bunch of surprises where, you know, that kind of group experience where everybody gets that rush of adrenaline after those, you know, the certain reveals, which we'll get into. Obviously, if you don't know by now, just to let everybody know, this is going to be spoiler discussion. Spoiler, as you can see in the title, this is a spoiler discussion. So if you did not see this somehow, you know, if you have not seen this film by now, then
Yeah.
beware that there will be spoilers. I'm not going to tell you to go away, but there will be spoilers.
For sure.
All right, man. Well, my first experience, I was real excited. Like a lot of other people, I had read all of the basically leaks from Hello, It's Me, My Time to Shine, or whatever his name is. Their names, I don't know who it is.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I read all those leaks a while ago, months ago, and I was like, I don't, you know, it was just random from a guy I never heard of. And I heard he had predicted some stuff before, but I was like, how would he know all? Like, I don't know. You know, some of it made
Right.
sense, and others things I was like, I don't know. So went to go see the film, man. Got in line. Was I a little late? I was a little late, but I was really lucky. Right when I got in there, it was the last preview, and I was like 20, 30 minutes late because I freaking
Damn.
did something wrong. So,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
but it was perfect. I got there, got popcorn still, and I was kind of unconcerned because I knew that the first scene, I saw it on YouTube. It was the opening scene. It left off from Far From Home. So
Right.
I was like, if I missed the first 5 minutes, I've seen it on YouTube. I'm not tripping. But no, I got in there right on time and had my popcorn, had a little drink. The theater was completely packed. I didn't know it was dark though, so I couldn't really find my assigned seat. But once I got to it, sat down in between a couple of people. They were all cool. And man, let that film start, man. I'm telling you, bro, that was probably not since The Force Awakens, which in the new Star Wars is the
Wow.
only one that was somewhat worth mentioning, in my opinion. But, you know, when we didn't have Star Wars and that came back, I was in college and we went as a group from my school. We got a special theater. It was only my classmates and the people who really like Star Wars. So, you know, it was a really hype experience. I remember seeing like the Falcon, seeing Han Solo, seeing all these characters we haven't seen. It was that type of kind of experience. But this was like that, but fully realized because every single thing that I was looking forward to, I was able to see. So, man, what a crazy film going experience. Nothing, I don't even know if we'll ever have anything like that again. I mean, that was incredible.
Yeah, especially for like Spider-Man type stuff. Like the feeling of seeing the actors that we saw on the screen together, that's never happening again. Because Tom Holland, that man is locked down basically as MCU Peter Parker.
Yeah,
so
at
we're
least
not
for the
getting
next
any other Peters.
6 to 7 years, you know.
Exactly.
Then they'll probably
and
kill
then
him off and bring in Miles.
that's exactly what I was about to say. So yeah, no one is ever going to be able to pull that off ever again.
Nah.
Like even if like, say for example, DC tried to do something with like Batman or Superman,
Nah.
like I just feel like it just won't hit the same.
It won't hit the same, and that's because DC has a lot of issues. The only character that's like Spider-Man that DC has that it could work with is the Flash, but they're jumping the gun too early with the Flash because they see what Marvel's doing over here. So like, we can do it too. Yeah. It's like, no, you have to earn this. You have to earn this. But I digress on DC.
Right.
That's for another video, another stream, which we should talk about that. I've got a slideshow up here. Now, you know, let's just quickly get into our experience together. Because when we went to see this movie, it was very funny. Very funny. Oh, my gosh, bro. We sat next to, you know, everybody in the whole theater was cool. Everybody in the whole theater except one human being who maybe between the ages of 17 and 20 years old probably about 5'4", small guy. You know, no disrespect. I'm just kind of trying to paint the picture, and
Right.
you know, before every, I don't know if it was his first time seeing it. He certainly read all the spoilers. He certainly read them all.
Oh, for
If
sure.
he hadn't already seen the movie, but he was so excited as if he hadn't seen any material, and this was his first time. And before every reveal, every surprise, before every big moment that you're supposed to, wow, he screams it out at the screen, super loud, like as loud as possible. Wow,
And
dude.
like we were in IMAX theater too, so it's a big theater.
Yeah.
It's a big theater.
Ninja Shark says that the movie was fire. Yeah, man, shit was crazy. I mean, but before
So good.
every reveal, when the porter reveals, he's screaming at the screen. You know, the trailer part where Doc Ock comes in on the bridge. Everybody in Name Mama has seen it. Everybody knows Doc Ock's in the movie. He screams it like no one knows, like he doesn't know. I'm like, we know, you know, we all know it's Doc Ock. Like, relax, brother. But hey, he have fun. We didn't impede on his experience, and you know, people are crazy, and who knows if that kid had a web shooter on him that was going to end somebody's life if they mess with him.
Yeah, low key.
So you know what I'm saying? We just let him chill and enjoy his experience. We both already seen the movie, so was what it was. Now,
I mean, honestly, I just thought it was funny. I mean, it didn't really bother me too much because, again, like I had seen it before, so
Right.
I wasn't really tripping too much.
right, same. I was just really, you know, we were going to just experience it again. I haven't seen a film in IMAX since like Endgame, I think. So
Man,
it was really great experience to see it in IMAX. Had some good popcorn, some fruit snacks action. So yeah, bro,
nice.
good movie going experience. So just to kind of get into it, like I said, I've got this slideshow up here. This first slide is where the film begins. So the opening scene picks off right where Far From Home leaves off when Mysterio tells the world that Peter Parker is Spider-Man via that video, and also tells the world that Peter Parker killed him. At this same time, J. Jonah Jameson comes on, and we see the J. Jonah Jameson, who's a variant, very similar to the variant from Sam Raimi's universe. Basically, you know, they're very similar. They're not exactly the same, but they're very similar.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts, Montati, on how they chose to open the movie here? We have Zendaya, who got crowded by people. Oh, you're Spider-Man's girlfriend? You're Spider-Man's girlfriend?
So at the beginning of the movie, it's a good way to basically come back. It's because like the first couple of seconds of this movie happened at the end of Far From Home, so it's kind of like it blends both movies. Literally, it's seamless.
Right.
If you played both these movies back to back, it's literally like
perfect.
no cuts, nothing that happened off screen. It's straight into the next story, which is good. And how I feel like they nailed the opening scene of like how people would act if they figured out who he was and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
And hey, people are crazy, dude. Like whenever they were swinging off when that guy tried to jump after them.
Yeah,
like, bro.
And that girl tried to like hit him or something. Like,
I know she was trying to take off his mask or whatever.
she just found out 5 seconds ago that he may have killed Mysterio, and she's like, "You killed Mysterio? You're a murderer!" I'm like, "Whoa!" It's a bit that
What?
could be like our boy Andrew Garfield said. It's a Photoshop. It's a Photoshop. What a kid. All right. So yeah, that was definitely good. I like to see. I watched a review and I saw someone say they put it beautifully. They were like, it was interesting how to see, you know, MJ on the ground and Peter up above her as the news, you know, the effects of that news affected her first as the normal person. And then he had to go down there, get her, and bring her up there, which is the scene we see here. She's hella nervous because she's on top of some sort of beam, and you know she doesn't have Spidey senses or powers, so she's like, bro. And you know that's that scene that y'all saw in the you know, there's some videos online, dude, that whole with, you know,
with Ned on the phone.
Ned,
and,
you know, the inventor of sex, Ned, very powerful himself. So yeah, bro, that was a good scene. And then they swung off in front of a train, and then we get into all the controversy, right? So now we have a bunch of controversy with Peter Parker as Spider-Man. Some people still support him because they're like, obviously, he's not evil. He saved the universe, blah, 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 blah. And then there's other people who think that he is a menace. They're believing that J. Jonah Jameson propaganda. And there is not a lot of time that we actually get with Peter having a trial or anything like that. We do get a short scene between him and his old teachers, the teachers that he's, for the past couple movies. One of the teachers, played by Hannibal Buress, is like, Mysterio was right. But, the other two is very thankful. What did you think about, how it went with how they handled Peter Parker, the trial of Peter Parker? Do you wish they would have given more time towards it? Do you think that it was sufficient?
So this movie as a whole is 2 hours and 30 minutes, which already is kind of long, right? So the fact that they were able to squeeze everything into that time frame is insane with all the characters that returned. But I do wish that they spent just a little more time expanding on the whole situation, because as we'll see like later, once we get further into the movie, all that stuff is kind of just brushed to the side. So I don't know. That's like the first 30 minutes of the movie, I say, were like really, really quick. It went by really fast. Yeah. Like they were moving really quickly. Very
true. And I have heard, I don't know if it's true, but I've heard that we'll have some deleted scenes once it hits likely Disney Plus and Blu-ray, that there was some sort of more scenes in the court with Peter. So if that does happen, that's cool. I have a feeling that we'll watch the scene and feel the same way because, like you said, the rest of that is kind of thrown to the wayside because the movie takes a much larger turn.
All right.
But I kind of do agree with you. I did like the scenes between him, the classmates, him on top of the building talking to MJ, just like, this is crazy, and them, Peter trying, him in the apartment with May and Happy trying to distract from his situation because May and Happy are breaking up, and he doesn't even want to talk about what's going on with him. He is very, very much how a teenager might handle a situation like, okay, the world, I just became the most famous person in the world, and half the world hates me. Like he's essentially like a politician or some sort. Like he's in that type of role now. This type of example that is very polarizing. And instead of focus on that and try to, attack that problem, the theme of the movie is responsibility. He tries to avoid that responsibility and talk about anything else. That's kind of how that went. So I thought that was played well and written well by the team at Marvel. Now, right after that, Ned and Peter, and actually in this scene is actually also Flash Thompson. I thought he may have been in here, but we have Flash Thompson, who's now dyed his hair blonde. What do you think, now that we've had a full trilogy, what are your opinions on the iteration of Flash Thompson in this series and this movie?
I think I like, do they go the route of making him a bully like the first two movies? No, they definitely didn't, but at the same time, it's like, that's kind of who he is, or how we've come to like learn who the character is. But I mean, if you look at the original Steve Ditko, Stan Lee, he's not really like just this big jock that pushes little Parker around. He is kind of just a jerk that's more in with like the more popular groups, right? But they made him essentially Peter Parker, but thinks he's cool because like he's on the academic decathlon team with him,
right?
And I don't know. He's weird. Like I don't know.
It's definitely an interesting choice, but I do know what they were going for. Like, do I like it? I think that they could have made him a little more like, I almost wanted Flash to have something physically. I mean, he kind of had the money, like his parents were well off. But then in the first couple movies, like, though Peter, yes, technically he was poor. He didn't feel as poor as, like, he didn't feel so poor that it was such a contrast between Flash and Peter. I just almost wanted Flash to have something that Peter could almost be envious of. So then that way, when he gets the powers, he has that confidence to put him on that same level, even though he's above that. But to kind of
exactly
balance that. But I also get what they were going for, because in today's world, bullies are not the same. Bullies are more like that. So I kind of get what they were going for, but I digress on that. We'll just keep moving on. At this point, Ned, Peter, and MJ. Oh wait.
Yeah, I agree with Shark. If you look at the chat,
he said he's a bad character in my opinion. I was a bully to Peter, but you look at him and I'm like, exactly. How was he bullying Peter? And that's exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, I almost wish that Flash had something like he would be a lot better looking, or a bunch of girls like him, or like the girl that Peter liked. Like, I don't know, something, just like something to make Peter envious. Because when I look at Flash, I'm like, I feel like Peter wouldn't care. He'd be like, dude, you're
Flash is a scrub, dude.
Yeah, you're nerdier than me, bro. Like, get out of here. But I forgot. I'm glad I made this slideshow, because I almost got ahead of myself. In that controversy, Peter's lawyer was none other than, as you see on your screen, Charlie Cox, Matt Murdock, coming to the MCU from the MC. Wait, it's Charlie Cox, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming to the MCU from the MC Netflix TV universe, which in that universe, if you've seen them, they do loosely reference Avengers stuff, but it was kind of always known that those were not a part of the MCU because Kevin Feige never really acknowledged them. What do you think about that reveal?
That was crazy. Like he literally was on screen for what, like 5, maybe 10 minutes, but the fact that they put him in the movie, I think that was everyone loved it.
Yeah.
Like, even if you don't know who he is or like what he's from or something like that, like, I'm pretty sure if you're like a Marvel fan, you could put the pieces together that it's Daredevil. Especially in like the very last portion of his scene.
Exactly. And I was just gonna say, I forgot about those spoilers that I read that he was in the movie. So when I was sitting down watching that scene, I didn't even expect it. So that was like really, for me, my most honest surprise, because I was like, whoa, like, it's Charlie Cox, it's Daredevil. So that was so awesome, dude, because Daredevil was amazing, bro. I love Daredevil. That was just top, especially the fight scenes in the hallways, just top tier fight choreography. At the same time, on the Hawkeye show, they brought in Kingpin. So I'm excited for Daredevil, Spider-Man, Kingpin, more New York Spider-Man stuff. Because if y'all remember going back and playing the Spider-Man games, you're in New York and you're fighting against your own villains. Sometimes you have help, Black Cat, stuff like that. But yeah, Daredevil, amazing addition to the MCU. Welcome, Charlie Cox. You're already beloved, and I'm sure that it's going to be great moving forward, man. That was dope.
Yeah. Whenever he gets his own movie, like, that's gonna be they have to change the tone though, like, of the MCU movies.
Right.
I can't speak for like Guardians or anything like that, but from what I've seen, they can't really hold a serious tone anymore in movies. Yeah. I mean, like, No Way Home completely changed my mind on that.
That was powerful.
Yeah, but in the past, like, from what I've seen from Marvel, they need to work on holding a more serious tone, like have a movie that actually has stakes, stuff like that.
Right. And they tried with the Eternals, a little bit of a miss. So, yeah, but this one, John Watts got this one right. Love to see Charlie Cox. And what I think they're going to do is likely introduce him, just like they did Kingpin. I think that Daredevil will appear in some Marvel show next year. I don't know which one. But I have a feeling that, wait a minute, he is. It's
She-Hulk.
She-Hulk. I was just going to say, I think it's already confirmed that he is in She-Hulk. So, there we go. And then he's going to make his way into Avengers movies. I can't wait for Secret Wars. Woo! This is going to be a fun time.
Secret Wars is going to be dope.
Shark says, that reveal was pretty dope. I was like, wow, when he popped it. Yeah, bro, same. All right, so after this, the crew, the Scooby Gang, they're basically not able to get into MIT. They've all applied to MIT. They want to get in together, that whole college thing. Everybody that's friends, you want to get into the same colleges. But after all the controversy with Spider-Man and be due to MJ and Ned being his accomplices, they were declined from MIT, and so is Peter, even though they really shouldn't have been. So at this point, Peter just feels crappy because they've had to uproot their life, move over to Happy's apartment. His friends has gotten screwed over. His whole life has basically been uprooted and screwed over because Mysterio revealed he was Spider-Man. So, while this is going on, it's around Halloween time or Christmas time or something, and he sees a little, as y'all saw in the trailer, like a little wizard, warlock, little, toy, and it reminds him of Doctor Strange. He makes his way to his nearest sanctum sanctorum to ask Doctor Strange to perform a spell for him. Now, what was interesting to me about that was they changed up the dialogue that Wong said. He didn't say don't cast the spell. In the trailer, he said don't cast that spell. In the film, he didn't say that. He said, I don't care what you do, leave me out of it. That is an interesting change for the Sorcerer Supreme, so I found that interesting. And also, I found it interesting that Peter just didn't say, make everybody forget Mysterio ever existed. That just would have solved all his problems. But,
Yeah.
Instead, he went, can we make it so no one remembers that Peter Parker is Spider-Man? That was his goal. And at first, Doctor Strange was like, no, but then he thought about it and he realized that he could do it. So they go down to the depths of the Sanctum Sanctorum, where Doctor Strange begins to perform the spell. And of course, once Doctor Strange begins to perform the spell to brainwash everybody to believe that Peter Parker is not Spider-Man, Peter steps into the spell ring and starts trying to make adjustments. So just wanted to get, Montati, your take on that scene and what you thought about it.
It was a good scene. Like, we saw it in the trailer, but like it was a lot more fleshed out in the actual movie. Right. So they did it really good. Like, if I'm being honest, that's kind of how I would act if I cared enough that people remembered that I was Spider-Man. But I mean, if I'm being honest, I wouldn't care. Like, if everyone forgot, bro, like, that's honestly better for me. But then again, from like all the media that we have from Spider-Man, I understand like what it takes to know that your friend is Spider-Man. Like, you're in hella danger at that point. But for him, like, he wants the people that know to know. Like, of course, Zendaya. He wants Ned to know. He wants Aunt May and Happy and all that. All the people that basically help him. But it was good. People were upset because, oh, how is Doctor Strange letting a 17-year-old mess up his spell? People that say that obviously haven't seen the first Doctor Strange movie, where, this guy is very, not only is he temperamental, but he gets distracted really easily by the smallest like things.
He's very Tony Stark-like, but he's actually, I would say, more arrogant. Being that doctor surgeon background and playing God for so many years of his life, and then getting the power, cosmic power, just saving the universe. Because let's keep in mind, yes, it was Tony Stark who snapped his fingers, but it was Doctor Strange who saw the one outcome, that they win. So
exactly,
Doctor Strange is on a high, so much so that he's like, sure, kid, we saved the universe together. Call me Steven, right? He's so cocky right now. Call me Steven. I'll take care of it for you, buddy. You don't deserve to have this happen to you. I got you. I'm Doctor Strange. I'm the Sorcerer Supreme supposed to be. Like, I can do this, right? That's what he's thinking. So, furthermore, when he's doing the spell, he's telling Peter, this is not how the spell works. So, he's already doing a complex spell for 7 billion people, and he was adjusting it perfectly. It wasn't until Peter kept going whenever he was like, stop, this is too much. And then Peter screwed it up. And while you see the multiverse crashing in on itself, Peter says, basically, anyone who knew I was Spider-Man should still know I was Spider-Man. That is the one that messed everything up. So, if you've seen Loki, Spoiler alert if you haven't seen Loki, but if you've seen Loki, you know that you've seen the sacred timeline, and you have a lot of information about how the multiverse works. In the films, Doctor Strange always says the multiverse is a concept of which we know very little about. You watch Loki, you learn a lot about the multiverse. So the cool thing is whenever the Strange is messing up, you kind of see, if I'm not mistaken, how they'll probably end up explaining it is they were in their sacred timeline, but they were bringing in other variants. So very interesting scene, how it was shot, how it was animated, great graphic effects. Had a lot of fun with that. Once that's done, Doctor Strange is like, okay, you screwed this up, so I have to contain this spell now. And, you know, it didn't work, basically. He didn't really know what happened, but he knew it didn't work. So then a really funny joke happens. It hit really well. One of the greatest jokes in the whole movie is whenever Peter's talking to Doctor Strange afterwards, and he's like, hey, you know, I wish I could just do something to help. And then Strange goes, well, you know, I mean, I kind of get it. If you called and you sent them information and you tried to get in, and then Peter goes, wait a minute, I could have called them? And then Doctor Strange goes, wait, you came in here and had me try to brainwash the whole population and you didn't even call? And he's like, well, when you put it like that, slams the door in his face. So funny. Great scene. I'm glad they didn't show it in the trailer because that was a good joke.
Yeah.
So then they move on from there, and then Peter realizes, oh, I guess I can call the lady. Peter finds out that the MIT admissions lady is actually in the city. She's actually reading Flash Thompson's book called Flashpoint, which is funny because Flashpoint is a DC story about the multiverse. So that's a cool kind of Easter egg, even though it may not be. It may just be like a Flash Easter egg, but still, I thought it was cool. And Peter decides, you know, let me get dressed, put on a little wrinkly suit. Let me find my way to the bridge and find this lady before she leaves New York so I can try to convince her to at least let my friends into MIT. And then that's where we begin. Oh, I forgot this is actually the spell. So I got a little photo here of Doctor Strange performing the spell. This is what it looked like whenever the universe broke open. You see all the purple and blues in the clouds like they're in between universes. And yeah, so this leads to this bridge scene where Peter's talking to her and he basically tells her, you know, don't let MIT be dumb and not let my friends into MIT because they deserve it. I'm just going to quickly read the chat. We had Kieran in the chat. What's up, Kieran? He said that the movie was so good. Ninja Shark, yeah, agrees. Says he just should have had everybody forget Mysterio. Exactly, bro. That's what should have happened. But we have this scene. And, of course, like I said, when we were watching it, that kid screams out, here comes Doc Ock! Doc Ock's coming! Doc Ock! We're like, oh, my God. Yes, we know. So, really, really cool. Peter starts to get his spider sense. He sees people running, and it's so funny. He's like, why are you guys running? What's going on? Like, what are you doing? And then you see shaking, and then all of a sudden, here comes Doc Ock's tentacles, and his music starts playing, and the classic Hello Peter scene. So, I'd say that Montati is even a bigger Spider-Man fan than me. I like Spider-Man. I'm a little older. I'm 27 now. He's a little younger. So growing up, I saw a lot of DC stuff first before Marvel. So I used to I still love DC's animated stuff. They just always generally miss with their movies, bar like 3 of them as of late. But, you know, I played the Spider-Man games like on PlayStation 2. Seen all the Raimi movies. I grew up with those, grew up with the Amazing Spider-Man. So I've always liked Spider-Man. But as a longtime Spider-Man fan, Montati, what did you like? How does the return of Alfred Molina as Doc Ock, him not phoning it in, full performance, how was that experience for you?
Seeing him back on the big screen was crazy. Like, for the longest, I went to see the movie 5 times. Nice. So for the longest, I couldn't believe this movie was real. Yeah. Like, it just doesn't feel real. They got everyone to reprise their roles. And how Doc Ock acts in this movie is it's like they straight ripped him from the Raimi universe, which is essentially what happened. But I didn't expect him to hit the mark so good with his character. So I was very pleased with his performance in this movie. Of course, Alfred Molina is a great actor. He hits the nail in the coffin with Doc Ock. Like, he's the definitive on-screen Doc Ock, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, not for until he's old can they do a new Doc Ock. Like, he's just exactly the definitive. And what I love too is, from an acting standpoint, from a cinematography standpoint, from a tone standpoint, when the Raimi villains are in a scene, you feel like now, with the dialogue and the delivery, that you're in the Raimi universe. Like, whenever Peter's talking to Doc Ock, it's like Doc Ock's in a play or in a theater performance almost. Because in the Marvel universe, things are kind of ha ha ha, it's funny, jokey. But in the Raimi universe, not so much. It was a lot more serious toned. And you can feel that coming out. But the great thing is, it doesn't clash. It works. And you feel that they're from a different universe. You can understand how this is going. I've got another still here that everybody has seen of Doc Ock throwing a car at Peter. What a great scene, man. Fantastic scene to even showcase Peter saving some people. He does have the iron spider suit here, which, I'm so happy that we got rid of this suit real quick, in my personal opinion. We got rid of this suit real quick, and I just prefer a less glossy, a less Iron Man, Spider-Man suit.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah, man. So that was a slick scene. He saved everyone. And, of course, he ends up using Bluetooth to connect to Doc Ock's tentacles, because, this is technology from, like, 2004 or something. So 2024 in the Marvel Universe, or 5 or something. Simple nanotechnology with Bluetooth. He takes over Doc Ock's tentacles, and he basically tells him, like, what are you doing? Who are you? Right at that time, we get another Spidey Sense moment. And then who comes out? The next reveal. Willem Dafoe reprises his role as Norman Osborn, Green Goblin, with a pumpkin bomb in his hand. To hear that laugh, even though we heard it in the trailer, to hear that in IMAX and to just know he's coming, but still, you feel the frightening. It's frightening. Ha, 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 ha. You're like, oh my God, here we go. And Peter just looks and he's like, what the f-? And a pumpkin bomb is thrown. And right at that time, they're transported back into the Sanctum Sanctorum from Doctor Strange. What did you think about how they played Green Goblin's entrance into the MCU here?
It was crazy. Like, I wish we would have seen them fight a little bit before Doctor Strange brought Peter back, but his entrance was perfect. It was crazy.
Badass. Complete baller. And I kind of get, after the first fight between them, I get why they chose not to do a fight yet, because they were like, this first fight, it almost felt like, and we'll get to it, but if you've seen Daredevil, that fight between Peter and between Peter and Goblin, that first one was so good in that hallway. It almost felt like a Daredevil fight. Like, it was that visceral. Ooh, love that part. So we get to the Sanctum Sanctorum here with Doctor Strange, who has just apprehended the Lizard from the Amazing Spider-Man universe. He's got a little blood on his face. He's a little bit banged up. And he basically explains to Peter that, well, when you botched that spell and you said that you wanted anybody who knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man to continue to know that, you brought these variants into our universe, these threats that know that you're Spider-Man. And now, because you did that, we have to detain them. Because he's like, I don't even know how many people are here. Like, so, and Doctor Strange, how they play it to basically get Doctor Strange out of doing it, because he honestly could do this whole movie himself if he really wanted to. He says he has to go basically make sure that he has to go check on stuff. And while he's doing that, he needs them to, quote unquote, Scooby-Doo this shit. So, a little cute line there whenever he tells them to do that. So what did you think about the way that, they play it with Doctor Strange explaining everything about the multiverse, them talking to Doc Ock, and trying to get more information, you know, because at first Peter doesn't understand, and then they're talking to Alfred Molina, and then he's like, here, let me explain. Do you know Peter Parker Spider-Man? Yes. Is that him? No. Great way to explain it. Like, if anyone didn't get the multiverse, right? Beautiful way to easily, do you know Peter Parker Spider-Man? Yes. Is this your Peter Parker? No. Bingo. So
yeah, easy, nice.
Right. I thought that was really nice with the bow. What did you think about their conversation? I personally thought that the Doc Ock and they laugh at his name. I mean, I think it would have been a lot funnier if we didn't have a trailer of it. But after having the trailer, not having it in context, it kind of fell flat for me.
Yeah, a little bit, but the interactions with Doc Ock were good. Like his conversations with Tom Holland was good.
Absolutely.
Like when him talking about Norman, and then even later on, whenever they are all there, and Flint is telling them about what he saw and like how he's confused and how they're alive right now. Like the interactions with just the characters work together so good. Like it was really good.
Yeah, that dialogue was written so well, acted well, executed well, shot well. It was great. Yeah, like after the Otto Octavius joke, it's immediately better, and I love that line that, you know, you're going out into the dark to fight a ghost.
Yeah, that was a good line.
Great line. So Peter, now the reason why he has this black suit, it's not actually a black suit. It's nothing more than his normal red and blue suit reversed.
Turned inside out.
Because someone, while he was, you know, while the controversy of Spider-Man was going on, he was still Spider-Manning for like a few weeks, and someone came up and threw some green slime on his suit. So he couldn't get it out. So instead of that, he reversed the suit, so it's black. Doctor Strange gives him basically the ability on his web shooters to shoot like some sort of like mystical portal teleporter, where if they shoot them with this string, it teleports them into a prison that Doctor Strange has constructed for all these multiversal threats. So Peter straps a camera to his chest like a, you know, new cop, and he starts to to swing through the plains trying to find a flying elf. But he ends up finding Electro, who apparently was in the power grid and is now rematerializing into this new universe. So how did you feel about this scene here? We also see Sandman helping Peter. How was this scene for you? I thought it was actually beautiful. And even though that we got to see a little bit of that in the trailer, the jokes were great. Seeing Flint there was great. And him being like, yo, Peter, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, I'm Peter, I'm not your Peter. He's like, wait, what? What are you talking about? You're not my Peter. Like, good dialogue. I just want to get your thoughts on what you thought about that.
The introduction of Electro and his whole scene and how they explain like his design change was good. Like how, this energy in this world is different,
right,
which explains why he doesn't look the same as when he was in the Amazing Spider-Man universe, because obviously you see him charging up and materializing, and he's absorbing the energy from Tom Holland's universe, causing him to look different.
Right.
And not only look different, but I mean, like his entire design is just revamped.
Yeah, he turned to Jamie Foxx. Like, just like I heard Christian Harloff say, it sounds like they went to Jamie Foxx and say, you know, we want you to do Electro, and then he was like, all right, I'll do it, but I'm not doing none of that corny shit. I'm going to come and say the lines like I'm saying it, and Electro can be Jamie Foxx. So, but right, I'm cool with that, because I would rather Electro be a cool character with a little bit of swag than what he was before, okay? So that was cool. I thought that the fight was cool. I thought that the joke was cool. He said, y'all just going to pretend like I'm out here butt-ass naked? Hella funny line. And then it explains his new clothes set. They were right by a power grid. So there was a little bit of clothes there. That's what he put on. He does zap Electro and Flint into the prison. And then after that, he says that he needs to clean up, which I thought was a cool scene, just showing Spider-Man taking responsibility. So he says, you know, so everybody doesn't yell at me for this. Let me fix this yard that we just destroyed in this battle. So I thought that was a good scene, which transitions into Peter getting a call from May that she's there with Norman Osborn, who has a great, beautiful scene where the Green Goblin Skull is talking to him, and great that they let Willem Dafoe just be himself. And I love that the way they did it is he's talking to his mask, almost like Kylo Ren. They failed in The Last Jedi, but they hit it right on the mark whenever he's having that conversation with the Green Goblin, and then he smashes the mask and he runs off, gets a hoodie to cover himself because he's wearing a Green Goblin suit, which I thought was genius to get him in the purple and green, his classic type of attire. But it was genius the way that they decided to do it. What did you think about the introduction of Willem Dafoe and how they handled him in the beginning as Norman Osborn?
Him as Green Goblin, whenever we see this scene of him in the alleyway, it this movie very much emphasizes his character having two sides.
Yes.
Essentially. So him trying to get rid of that whole Goblin side in the first basically major scene, because the first one was just full CGI, so whatever. But this one was good. Like when he smashes the mask and the laughs just echo in the alleyway and fade away, that was good. And then the whole scene with May of him trying to explain what's happening and how he's trying to adjust to being transported to somewhere that he doesn't even know.
So good.
And of course, Oscorp doesn't even exist yet. So
he delivered those lines so well. He goes, Oscorp doesn't exist. Somebody's in my house. My son, and you can see this is Norman. This is Norman. The last time most of our brains think of Norman Osborn, we think of the big parade, we think of the pumpkin bombs, and we're thinking of that last scene. We're thinking of Green Goblin. We're not thinking of the Norman Osborn, who is a poor guy. He got screwed over too, and he's a brilliant scientist and was trying to do his best to do something good for the world, but also because of what he lost, he took extreme measures. And we get to see the repercussions of this, and he picks it right back up, just like you said with Alfred Molina. There was no time lapsed in between. He takes some donuts. It's a really funny scene.
Yeah, in the background.
Yes. So then at that point, he's just talking to him, and May, and we have a great first scene to set up a scene later whenever Peter's like, look, I got to get these guys back to their own universe. This is not my responsibility to help them. They're insane. I don't know. I don't even know what's going on. And then she's like, no, look, these people are lost. And not just lost in a different universe. They're mentally messed up, all of them. So before you send them somewhere else that you don't know what's going to happen to these deranged people, maybe try to help them, because Aunt May is trying to get Peter to understand that if you have the ability to help, then don't push the responsibility off on someone else. If you can, then you have the responsibility to try. So, it was a pretty good scene, and all of a sudden that leads us to Peter and Norman being transported by Doctor Strange. Peter transported into Doctor Strange's lair, and Norman transported into a prison, where now we have all of the Sinister Five, and now we have that dialogue, and they all go back and forth. And we have a great interaction between Kirk Connors and Electro. We have a great interaction between Alfred and Norman, and then a great interaction between Flint talking to all of them as the one who lived out of all these villains. And he's like, all of y'all basically died fighting Spider-Man. So I don't know if going back is a good idea. And all of them realize, the last thing I remember, I probably was about to die, or I was about to win, but I was at a climax of some sort and I was moved here. So Peter starts to think, we're going to send them back to die. And then Doctor Strange is like, but we got to send them back. So he starts to craft a machine to send them back in that box that you've seen on the trailers. And right then you see a cool little scene of MJ and Peter kind of look at each other like, we can't let this happen. So Peter uses his web slinger, grabs the box, and is like, look, I got to try to help them, because he doesn't want them to die as they're all kind of freaking out.
Right.
This leads to an amazing scene I never thought I would see in the MCU. Doctor Strange versus Spider-Man. Now, this clearly is not Doctor Strange trying to truly subdue Peter. Yes, he was trying to take the box and leave the kid alone. He really doesn't want to fight the kid. Just like in Spider-Man Spider-Man Homecoming, whenever Tony tells him, look, if Cap wants to lay you out, he would have. Though in Civil War, they had a little back and forth. In my opinion, if Doctor Strange really wanted to subdue Spider-Man, he could lock him in a pocket dimension somewhere. But before, Doctor Strange gets very serious, he thinks that Peter, and I think that Doctor Strange also thinks that he's about to be screwed because he's in the mirror dimension and he can't move. And I think he's underestimating Peter's powers a little bit, which also got him in trouble. But we have a great fight scene where they go to the mirror dimension and Doctor Strange explains what it is, and they begin to have this fight. What did you think about this beautifully choreographed fight?
It worked really good in the mirror dimension with Doctor Strange using a lot of his powers to try to. He wasn't trying to beat down Peter, which was good because he's kind of like
he gets it
in the Avengers kind of setting. He's more of someone that Peter looks up to, obviously, because he's older than him. Not only that, he's, I would argue, a lot more powerful than Peter on not really like strength, but like with all of his powers that he has, he could probably lock him up, like you said, in like 2 seconds.
Right.
So he's not really trying to beat him up. He's just trying to, get the box back and tell him that they just need to go back. So.
Right. Just trying to fix the problem. In my opinion, this is Doctor Strange trying to fix this problem before Wong or someone else, before he screws up. Because, Doctor Strange, he's like, he'll screw up and be like, all right, I got to fix it. Watch Doctor Strange, the first movie, if you haven't, and you'll definitely see that. All right, so that was a great fight, and he ends up beating him with geometry. In a infinite circle, he locks him in the mirror dimension. As Peter leaves the mirror dimension, brags to MJ and Ned that he beat Doctor Strange, gets all the villains out.
Funny.
Yeah, it was super funny. And then they all head to Happy's apartment since they're aware that, they can't go back to his apartment. He's like, I got to try to cure you guys. So I've got a photo here. It's just concept art, but y'all seen the movie. This is how his apartment was. Though it would have been cool to get a scene of Peter hanging on a spider hammock. I thought that could have been really cool. Yeah, that could have been actually cooler if he was talking to MJ on this than him being inside. But it was a funny joke that Happy was right there sleeping. So when he was talking, so I get it. But they go to the apartment, and he brings in the Sinister Five with him and attempts to
minus the Lizard.
Minus Lizard, right? Lizard decides to stay in the car, in the van that he brought them over in. But he has the Sinister Four up there, and he's gonna attempt to create cures from them with essentially a high-tech, Stark-Tech 3D printer called a fabricator that can make anything. He starts to use that to try to fabricate cures for all of the Sinister Five. So what do you think about how that scene went in the apartment? I thought it was really funny, more great dialogue. They find really quickly that it's the chip that's fried with Doc Ock, so they got to fix that. What did you think about how they handled that first part?
I think it was a good way to kind of push the agenda that May, because again, like you said, the theme of this movie is whole responsibility, and May's finally telling him, hey, you gotta do something with the powers you have. You got to use them for the good of mankind. And we have all this Stark shit just laying around. Use it, right? Like you said, the fabricator that he had, which he used in Far From Home to make his suit, he uses it to try to help everyone, which is really good. And starting off with Doc Ock was, I think starting with him was good, because damn near where he said he was transported from is the scene where Doc Ock and Peter are talking, and he basically has him by the neck. He's choking him out with a tentacle. Yeah. And that didn't really go on for that long, which right after that scene is wherever he realizes hey, I'm still Otto Octavius, and this is my mess. I got to clean it up. So having him be the first one to be cured and basically he didn't really go through art because he was basically fixed, but I think it was a good choice to have him go first.
I totally agree that it was great to have Doc Ock go first. Doc Ock, out of all of these villains, including Norman, because of Norman's split personality thing, had the closest relationship with Peter, admires Peter, respects Peter, and not just for what Peter can give to him, but also for, how he can help Peter. So I thought that was interesting. I'm just making sure that, okay, cool. Yeah, so I thought that was definitely awesome. He comes back down. He's like, Peter, my boy, thank you, my boy. Thank you. And after that, he begins to talk to Norman because him and Norman are kind of similar. He's like, man, this is going to help you out, Norman. They helped me. This is going to be great for you. And they begin to have that conversation, and things are going well. They've already made a cure for Electro. Electro is kind of hesitant about it, but he's kind of going along with it because other people are going along with it. Flint is just kind of waiting. Flint is like not really too sinister, He's just like, I want to get to my daughter. He don't trust nobody.
Right.
So they're just kind of having good dialogue, like that great line, I fell in a super collider. Well, I fell in a tub of electric eels, Gotta be careful where you fall. real more good dialogue and funny lines. And then all of a sudden, as they're creating Norman Osborn's cure, they get to my favorite line in the whole movie when we get this great scene of the spider sense. It's like a ringing in Peter's ears, and it zooms in, and then it's awesome because that he's sensing something, but you don't know what it is, and the way that they shoot it and the way that it's written, he doesn't know what it is, and because he doesn't know, you don't know. So both you and Peter, from like a second person perspective, is trying to figure out what is going on. And then you slowly pan between all the villains. Oh, what is it, Peter? What is it, boy? What do you see? Well, they're like, oh, what is it, boy? What is it? And then all of a sudden, Peter looks, and then he webs Norman's hand to the little machine before, I think it was a bomb that he was making or something he was creating.
Something like that.
And he webs his hand, and then we snap into the Green Goblin. He goes, it's a cute little trick you got there. And then Doc Ock says, Norman? And then my favorite line, Norman's on sabbatical, honey. I was like, here we fucking go. And then here comes Electro. What the hell? Amazing. Like, I don't even know if that was Electro. That was just Jamie Foxx. Like, what the hell? This man completely changed. He was cool, calm, and collected. I didn't even know he was going to say that. And Norman's on sabbatical. Green Goblin's in full effect, in full inspiration. He inspires Electro to be his full God self and not take the cure. And at that point, he goes off. Peter tells May to get away and to run. She tries to go to the elevator. Electro has shut down the whole electrical system of the building, and all hell breaks loose. At the same time, J. Jonah Jameson is appearing because they find that all the villains are with Spider-Man here at Happy's apartment. They're ready to film and get the big scoop. And with this picture here, this is exactly what he looked like. Like, he resurrected this Black Air Force energy right here when he said Norman's on sabbatical. This is exactly what he looked like, bro. I was like, bro, it's over. Like, this man is on sabbatical now, and it's all Green Goblin. Ain't no cure gonna do nothing for nobody. Shit's crazy. It was just beautiful, man. I love those type of villains. I like the complex villains, but those villains that are Joker, Goblin, the Reverse Flash. I was gonna say, I'm thinking of a Superman villain, but a lot of his villains are more cerebral. But these type of villains, Mad Hatter, these type of villains that are just crazy and talented and skilled and powerful are scary as all hell, okay? Because they're doing this to prove a point, but also for the fun of it. And also, he thinks he's right. This man is a menace. I mean, look at his face here. So at this point, a fight breaks loose between Peter and the Green Goblin. And this is, in my opinion, the best fight of the movie. And we know Willem did his own stunts And I've seen the behind the scenes of how they made it look when they went through multiple floors. They really did that. It was only a few stories, and there was a big soft pad under them, of course. But you felt it. They really choreographed that viscerally. Each fight from the top to the bottom, to even having Lizard pop in and take Peter and throw him back through the window, having Lizard and Green Goblin tag team Peter. I mean, having Peter punch Goblin in like a Hurricane stance, and Goblin looks up at him and laughs, and then Peter just looks at him like, I never fought nobody like
that. That was crazy. Bro, that was crazy.
I'm going to pull up right now. I'm going to pull up that because I have the picture saved. I mean, this picture right here, let me tell y'all, that was the stuff of nightmares. The stuff.
It's crazy.
Crazy. Where is that?
When you said best fight scene in the movie, like, it's not even close.
Yeah, like, it's crazy. I'm looking for the still not. There it is, because I knew I got it. I saw it on Twitter, and I was like, y'all got to see this. Just to remind y'all the face of this man while he's getting punched in the face by Spider-Man, equal in strength to Captain America. This is the face. This is the face. The only fight that I will say that I like in general that rivals this fight scene is the first fight scene in Captain America, the Winter Soldier versus him and the Winter Soldier.
That was a good fight too.
Incredible with the knife, with throwing the knife. Oh, all that stuff was beautiful. This is the next best thing right here. It's equal. It's better. Probably it's, man, Norman is on sabbatical. So we get a full fight. They go through stories. And at this point, Peter's completely screwed. And Goblin is laughing, about to kill Peter. And here comes Aunt May, like, no, don't hurt him. This was beautiful. It was poetic. It was very Aunt May. It was very just your guardian. Even whenever they can't do anything, the courage it took for her to do something. And he's trying to tell her to run. And then the craziest scene, bro, I did not expect it to go like this, bro. I thought it was going to be the pumpkin bomb that we saw in the trailer. I thought that was going to, like, blow her up. But no, bro. It was way worse and poetic. Because if I'm not mistaken, Flint explains to Goblin that he died from the glider fighting Spider-Man. And even if he did, they didn't say that explicitly. In my brain, the Goblin knew, oh, so you killed me with my own glider. Okay, got you. Like, I got something for you, bro. Decides to kill Aunt May with the glider. And even though she pops up, and the way that I saw them playing this is that, we've heard the stories of when people have an adrenaline rush. Even when they're dying, they can, you're still, like, alive. Like, this may be really visceral for y'all, but just so you know, if, like, there's, like, a guillotine, like back in the French Revolution, when they used to behead people, even after you're beheaded, you're still alive for like a couple seconds, and you see and you're aware of what's going on. So that's all the adrenaline in your brain. So what I'm saying is that she probably popped up, like, and she saw Peter was okay. They had that talk, and, Peter tells her, May, this is not my responsibility. Like, look at what all the damage that's been done. I tried to help them. They don't want my help. Like, screw them. Like, this is not my responsibility. And she tells him, which is actually ripped straight from the comics, you have power, and with great power there must come great responsibility. And when she said that, we already know she sealed her fate with all the Uncle Bens. And we have the Aunt May death scene. So how did the Aunt May death scene hit you? I really wish that we didn't know it all, even though we all had a feeling someone was going to die. But how did that scene hit you? How did the fight scene hit you? How was that whole next part of the film, the climax of the film?
This is where the movie gets really good.
Hell
now,
yeah.
in my opinion, the movie doesn't really start until Doc Ock shows up. But the movie doesn't get really good until the whole Green Goblin fight scene, May dies. I would argue that this is one of the 3, like, kind of tearjerker scenes in the whole movie. Because May's giving him the speech. Yeah, that's cool and all, and then she's dying. But Tom Holland's performance in this scene, like, dude, shit was crazy. My boy was actually, like, you could see he was going through it whenever that happened. Like, he made that seem insanely real.
It was amazing.
And when Happy pulled up and Happy saw it, and then he's getting like arrested by damage control, and he's like, Peter, bro, run, and then they cap his ass and he's out of there. Like, that whole scene where like the police are coming in and Peter gets shot, I feel like it's a really good like homage to where Tobey Maguire killed. Well, he doesn't really kill him, but like where Tobey Maguire confronts Uncle Ben's quote unquote killer, because we know that's not whatever, but that's a really good homage to where the police are kind of storming that building and then Tobey Maguire just leaves right when they get in. I feel like that was pretty good, but yeah, his performance in that scene was wild.
I have to
it was
you 100%,
so good,
bro. That, like, Aunt May actually dying, like, I'm gonna be honest, like, I wasn't that sad that she was dying, but whenever, like, it started to get emotional whenever Tom Holland is looking at her and he's like, come on, Aunt May, I'm sorry, and he's
yes, bro, man.
And then Happy pulls up, and that is when that almost got a tear from me, because Happy pulls up and he's pulling up to help them, and he knows he's wanted. He doesn't care. The cops are pointing at him. He doesn't care until he sees Peter's face and May, and he knows when he sees Peter, she's dead. And then Jon Favreau's face, oh my God. And then Peter is just trying to grieve his aunt, and then they shoot at this man. They shoot at this child. They shoot at him. And
which is wild.
And they end the scene with a tear falling from, oh, that was beautiful. Like, oof, the one tear from her eye as she takes her last, that just shows that even in death, she was still a little bit alive to just try to look at Peter and just wait for him to try to get away safely. And they shoot him and she cries because she's like, they still don't get it. The kid is still trying in there. Oh, wow. And then we get this incredible, amazing scene. Incredible scene of, that's it right here. I forgot that I got this photo, but this is Peter telling May, it's not my responsibility, after they both just got destroyed by Goblin. And after she dies, and then, you see Peter over here, and another ode to J. Jonah Jameson, J.K. Simmons, and tribute to Tom Holland. This scene right here is just
beautiful.
It's everything. It's
like one of the best scenes in the entire movie.
It's the movie. This is the movie. This is the movie in a nut. Like, this should have been the only poster, because this is the movie. This is what the movie is about. This is the lesson he's learning. Because even by the end of the movie, even though things have gotten better objectively, he still is this. This is Peter now. This is our Peter now. And powerful scene, man. J. Jonah Jameson saying, no matter where Spider-Man goes, death and destruction follows. And Peter have to sit there as a smart guy and just think. And he's like, he's not wrong. Like, and that is the struggle of Spider-Man too. Like, they finally brought in Spider-Man's struggle. And like I said, man, I just couldn't be happier about that choice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man.
Any more thoughts from you on that scene before we move to the big reveals?
When I saw this, like, I couldn't believe this was the same person we saw in the previous two movies. Like, Tom Holland pulled this off too good. Like, I know he was just ready for people to stop hating on his version of the character.
Hell yeah.
That he just was like, bro, I'm putting everything in this movie.
And acting opposite Willem Dafoe, Alfred Molina, like all of these top tier legends, like he's been with top tier legends anyway, but he couldn't he was like, nah. And that's why I get, when he came out of the first screening, he was crying, not only because of the film, but just because he's like, yes, like I did it. Like I did, like the Spider-Man I wanted to portray and be, I did it. I got that shit now. which is dope.
Right.
But now we're gonna move on to the biggest reveals in the whole movie, right? The biggest reveals. We go from the scene to Ned's house where MJ and Ned are waiting because Peter gives them the box and says, if I don't call you in a certain amount of hours, press that button and send them back. But MJ doesn't want to kill them, and she's like, man, I think I'm going to send them back. Like, I don't know. He hasn't called me, and I don't know what's happened. Like, I got to send them back. Well, except that she saw the news thing with May dying and all that, so she knew that happened because, she was like, we're all he has left. And, Ned still has the sling ring on that he got from Peter whenever he beat Doctor Strange. And he takes the sling ring, and then he goes, man, it's just on his hand cows. And he's like, man, I just wish I could just see Peter. And he kind of waves his arms around a little bit, and then like a little bit of sparks come, and they're like, do that again. He goes, I just wish I could just like see Peter. A little bit of sparks again. Like, dude. And they did set this up earlier when they're in, they go to the Sanctum Sanctorum, and then he's like, my grandma says that magic runs in our family. And he's like, yeah, I think you should see your physician. A great line delivered by Benedict Cumberbatch. But that pays off, and he uses the sling ring to say, I want to see Peter. He conjures a portal, and through the portal, we see Spider-Man facing away from us. But he looks a little different, a little more slender, head a little bigger. We're like, that doesn't look like Peter. And then you finally, like, the first time I saw the movie, because I didn't know how they were going to be introduced, right? So I'm thinking they're actually just going to get Tom, because I'm thinking that these three are not going to come in until the end or something, right?
Right.
So he does it, and I see him further, and then everybody, like, the theater starts to get quiet. And then all of a sudden, when he turns towards us, and then they go, Peter, over here, Peter. And then everybody you feel it bubbling. Wait, is it Toby? Is it Andrew? Who is it? He hops through the portal, and then they're like, you look different. You're not. And then he's like, wait a minute. And it's the werewolf. Oh, I got too ahead of myself. It's the werewolf himself, Mr. Photoshop. I'm not in the movie himself. Andrew Garfield, okay? He comes through the portal as Spider-Man, and the crowd erupts. The whole theater erupts. I don't even know what's the first thing he said, because we all just go freaking crazy, okay? How was your first viewing in the theater of that?
I saw this scene. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was damn near about to like cry. Like, seeing him on screen again in costume was crazy, because not only were his movies not the best received, but he also didn't get like a true conclusion to him. And it's like, he's back. He's actually back. They did it. They got him on board. The CGI is terrible for the suit, but whenever it's like actually Andrew Garfield in the suit, they nailed it.
Perfect, yeah.
Like, it looked straight out the Amazing Spider-Man suit. It was so good. I was going crazy whenever he popped on screen, man.
Same.
It was just straight excitement. I loved it.
And the great part about that too is, once, like, all the doubts, all the rumors, once you see Andrew, you know Toby's coming. You don't know when, you don't know how, but once you see Andrew, you're like, okay, Toby is coming. Daddy Toby, as the homie said. One thing, I'll give that one to him. I'll give him Daddy Andrew and Daddy Toby. Okay, I was like, you know what? I know you're excited. I'm excited, even though I've seen it and I'm excited. I'm excited watching you be excited. Whenever he comes, before he comes on screen, the kid next to him, it's Daddy Andrew, Daddy. And we're all like, wow, like, he's really into Andrew Garfield, so that's great. And we have a great scene where, MJ throws a piece of bread at him, and he's like, why did you do that? And she's like, I want to check if you have the tingle thingy. He's like, I have the tingle thingy, but not for bread. Like, it's great. He's great. In my opinion, though the films themselves are not, just like I think Henry Cavill is the best Superman, but the films that he has the scripts he's had to work with has not let him be that. I feel this way about Andrew Garfield. I think that Andrew Garfield is the best Spider-Man, but unfortunately, they, he couldn't really show that. He like that his Peter Parker Spider-Man, his thing, like, because when he's Peter Parker, he transforms into it. Like, you don't see Andrew Garfield anymore. Like, it's Peter. Like, this is Peter Parker. Like,
right.
Oh my gosh. He crawls from the ceiling. It's good. Great scene. And then he's like, look, I've been looking for your friend. I came in this place, and this is not my New York, so I don't know what's going on. Kind of like across the
Into the Spider-Verse.
Into the Spider-Verse. And then Ned says, well, shit, I got that Peter. I'm looking for my Peter, though, so let me try to get my Peter. So everybody knows now in the whole theater, okay, here comes Daddy Toby. So he starts to do the portal, and out comes none other than Bully Maguire himself. What more do you want? I mean, what more do you want from a Spider-Man movie? Like, I didn't even think they could do it this well. Me know it was going to happen, but still just be like, just mind fucking blown. He comes through and just like your heart, it's, oh my gosh, what an experience.
And it was a good contrast to Andrew Garfield's character versus Tobey Maguire's character, because Andrew's introduced in costume, which we learn later that because he lost Gwen, he doesn't really focus too much on Peter Parker stuff. He's more of like just focusing on Spider-Man. That's taking up all his time.
As Spider-Man, and Tobey's introduced
exactly.
As Peter. It's genius.
Which is it's such a good contrast between both of them.
Freaking amazing.
But when Tobey came through, I'm not gonna lie, my boy look old as hell. But
he is.
I like, that's my childhood hero.
Yeah.
I was born the same year the first Spider-Man came out.
Nice.
And I grew up on Spider-Man 1, 2, and I even saw the third one in theaters when I was 5. So, like, to see him on screen again in a Spider-Man movie, it's about to be 20 years since the first film released.
Yeah.
So I couldn't, for the longest time, I could not believe that it was real. Like, I couldn't come to terms with it. Like, it was so good, and it's not just like nostalgia pandering either. Like, they're essential to the story.
Yeah. And I love that. I love that they brought them in and they were integral to being a mentor. Oh my gosh, it was just great. It was great. And I love the quick scene as a fight between both Peters. And I love how when Toby walks through that MJ's not like, you're not Peter. When Toby walks through, she's like, that is Peter. You're definitely Peter Parker. He kind of has that same kind of, because his swag is more like Tom's than Andrew's.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. So, I mean, I love all of them. I don't think that any one of them is particularly so much better than the other. My personal preference after this movie is Andrew Garfield. I liked him in his movies too, but for me, when the film itself is also not that good, it just can deteriorate. It can overshadow a good performance if the film isn't good. But to get to see Andrew shine in this, it made me remember why even though, especially the second Amazing Spider-Man, but even though I didn't really like those movies that much, I remembered why I still liked watching them for some reason. And because Andrew Garfield's portrayal of Spider-Man, love it. So Bully Maguire comes through and they opt to help Peter. MJ and Ned go to they discuss where they would go to be alone. They go find Peter, they give him a hug because he just lost Aunt May, and we get one of the most epic scenes anyone has ever seen in comic book history of 3 Spider-Man on a roof talking about with great power comes great responsibility and their loss.
When Andrew is explaining to, like, okay, so at first, when Andrew's like, yo, I know what you're going through, and Tom's like, don't tell me. Don't tell me you know what I'm going through. You don't know. And then when he's explaining what happened with Gwen, and bro, Andrew Garfield's performance is, honestly, don't get me wrong, bro. Tom Holland proved himself in this movie. He was insanely good, but Andrew Garfield, arguably, in my opinion, was the best in this movie. Like, just the emotion that he brought whenever he was explaining that, like, bro was damn near finna cry every time he talked about Gwen.
Every time, bro, I shed a tear. He made me shed a tear, bro. Like,
No, for real. Yeah, same.
a personal anecdote, like in my life, and I won't name names on the stream, but you know, I've been close with people that I was in a relationship with that I lost, bro. Like, so I like how that feels to lose someone, and even if it's not, because it's not his fault, but
Exactly.
to lose someone and think or feel inside, like I wish I could have done something. I like you would trade your life so that they could live. That pain that he showed through his acting that is how that feels like. Like that is how that feels like, and it never goes away. You have to live with it and try to honor that person if that's the type of person that you are. And many people, not just me, across the whole planet have experienced loss. If it was your girlfriend, or if it was a family member, if it was your boyfriend, it was a dog, it don't matter. You've experienced loss and you know what that feels like. And that's what he brought. Tom just lost his aunt, but I felt Andrew's pain more than anyone's. Like that's the pain that you feel. Because once he starts talking about it, I haven't seen The Amazing Spider-Man 2 for years. But once he starts talking about it, I remember like I just saw it. I remember the scene like I just saw him lose her. Like, oh man, crazy scene.
Like his scene hit different, and then whenever Tom is telling them about May's last words, and he says with great power, and then Toby hits him with the most great responsibility, was crazy. And then of course Toby and Andrew look at each other because they both know.
Right.
Yeah, Uncle Ben told us.
Right before.
Man. And then like literally right then, like right before they transitioned to the lab, and then the theme, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man theme plays.
Yes.
It's so good.
It was
so good.
I just want to bring up a little image that I have. One more, right before we get to the end of this movie. I have an image of them in the lab here, which I thought was a good scene, and wanted to talk about that. I think probably my mouse is dying. That's why it's acting weird. Okay.
My bad. The Danny Elfman score.
Yes.
That's his name. Yeah. It's crazy.
So we have this lab scene where they do go to the lab and they begin to make the cures for everyone. We get a great mini scene of them pointing to each other, just how they did in the in the meme. It's not like the one they do the second time, which is perfect. But it's a good little warm up. We have a great conversation about Harry dying and best friends, and a great conversation. Like, hey Pete, I'll never become your best. I'll never turn on you and try to kill you. Just good stuff. But the most heartfelt stuff. Once again, Andrew Garfield. Whenever he's talking to our older brother Peter, and he's like, I see that he has someone, but I guess it's not really in the cards for guys like us. And he's saying that thinking that, he's, that this Peter also probably doesn't have anyone. But then he tells him, well, me and MJ worked it out. And then that just puts more depth into Andrew's character because he's like, well, I still am the alone one. Like, he looks over at MJ and Peter when they're, they're kind of kissing and stuff. And he's just kind of like, damn, like, and you feel that. Like, you kind of feel bad for the man. Like, but they make the cures. And Andrew puts on his lab coat, goes right back to his sciencey ways, how he was in his films, which is awesome to see. He has that great joke about Toby being a youth pastor. Are you going to suit up and fight, or are you going to go into battle looking like a cool youth pastor? I thought that was a fantastic joke. I laughed my ass off the first time and second time I seen that. What do you think about, the lab scene, brother?
The whole scene, like, we definitely needed the interaction between all three of them outside of like fighting villains and stuff like that. I just wish we could have had more. Like the chemistry that they brought on screen is crazy. Like they made it clear that at least these three iterations of the character Peter Parker are more similar than you'd think. Right, because all three of their movies kind of hold like a different tone, but essentially at the core, they're all the same person because they are all Peter Parker.
Yeah.
So just the way they worked without even knowing each other for that long, they like Andrew Garfield said, "Oh, I've always wanted brothers," and it's like that's basically what they are. Like Andrew's the middle child, Tom's the youngest, and Toby's the elder brother.
Yeah.
And like they definitely show that on screen in the way that they are talking to each other and talk about like their experiences and how they basically kind of Tom, because he aged like 2 to 3 years in his universe, but like how Andrew and Toby grew up being Spider-Man.
Right.
So
yeah, bro,
I really like that a lot.
I completely agree. Their chemistry was perfect. You really felt it all, and it was great because you really feel Tom just like the quiet younger one who's really just thinking about May and trying to kill the Goblin. I know that's really what's on his mind. Then we have Andrew, like the, you know, he feels the worst, so he projects the most humor and snarkiness. And then you have Toby, who's like the older one who's been through all that. And then you kind of get the feeling he's like, this tall Spider-Man guy is making fun of me. Like, and we kind of get it later, and that's great. Then, we get a great scene. They're done with the cures. And then we see MCU Peter do a stream, talk to J. Jonah Jameson, where they do a great joke. He's like, he's going to destroy another national monument. It was super funny. But, he basically tells the world, he takes responsibility and says, look, it's my fault that I brought all these villains here. It's my fault, world. I'm going to fix this. I'm going to try. Wish me luck. And that was a pretty good scene. Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man could use some help. And that was good. It felt like it was a video game. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Then we move to the Photoshop scene. Okay, this is a Photoshop. As y'all know, this picture that you're looking at is a Photoshop. This did not happen in the movie. When I saw him bending down on the rails in the movie, like literally the Leonardo DiCaprio Wolf of Wall Street pointing at the TV, like I'm like, you bitch, you came on TV. Y'all made a whole YouTube video with millions of views saying it's Photoshop. I watched the whole thing. I'm like, I guess it's to me, I'm like, it looks real to me, but I guess it could be it looks Photoshop. We believed you. He deserves an Oscar, like everybody says. That's the joke. He deserves an Oscar for his line performance. I get that they couldn't say anything. Toby didn't give a shit, but Andrew,
Bro, no, dead ass.
I've seen the photo. I've seen the photo, and it's a Photoshop. It's a Photoshop. You asshole. No, you're not. You are the werewolf. This exact scene plays out in the movie. They have hilarious conversation about the web shooters whenever he's trying to talk to him about it, and then, he says, I just don't understand. Like, how does this work? Blah, blah. And then and he's like, I don't really want to talk about it. Like, are you like picking on me? And then Tom, it's great dialogue. Tom just jumps in and is like, no, like he's not making fun of you, but like as two Spider-Men who like don't do that, we're curious. Like what? Like how does that work? Like does it come out of somewhere else? It was so funny, bro. Perfect interaction. Like just like you were saying, their chemistry is unmatched. This scene couldn't have been better. Like he cracks Toby's back. Like there are fourth wall breaking jokes. You are amazing. And then he goes like, what's the craziest villains y'all fought? Of course, like that is literally what people talk about. Like, so the fact that they had the conversation is amazing. Like, what's the craziest villain? And then like Toby goes, well, yeah, I fought a gooey alien I fought an alien that was made of goo from outer space. And then Tom's like, yeah, I fought an alien too, but I was in space on another planet, and he was purple. And then Andrew goes, damn, you guys fought aliens? I just fought a Russian rhinoceros suit guy. I'm lame. I didn't fight aliens. I want to fight aliens. I was like, bro, this is
that shit was perfect.
So top tier, bro. And then he's like, no. He's like, you need to watch yourself talk, bro. Like, you are amazing. No, listen to me. You are amazing. He's like, no, I need to hear that. Thank you.
Bro,
that
scene was perfect.
It was perfect, bro. Just like, I'm just so happy. Like, that scene alone was worth the price of admission. That scene alone
deadass
was just, my gosh, bro. So once they're done talking, we get the Sinister 3
3?
Right.
Yeah, 3.
The Sinister 3 right here. I don't even know what starts with a T, with a TH, but we get these 3 motherfuckers. We get Sandman, who's barely a villain. Lizard, who is a lizard and wants to turn everyone else to a lizard. And we got Electro. So we got 2 ASM villains and then 1 Spider-Man 3 villain. And of course, this is the scene everybody saw in the trailer where, you know, he got kicked. It was indeed Andrew Garfield. What do you think, Montati, about just this scene, the way that they started to fight?
Man, like whenever they're first fighting and they're like all uncoordinated and like they're basically like messing up everything that's going on because they're all trying to focus on separate enemies and they come together. And bro, the scene where Toby and Andrew are like, oh, I've never worked as a team before, like I don't know how this is supposed to work, and Tom's like, well, you know, I've been in the Avengers, you know, not to brag or anything.
Like, wow.
And Toby's like, oh, that's great. Like, what is that?
Is that a band?
Andrew, is that a band?
You were in a band too? Wow. Oh my gosh, dude. What a
that was great. And then the swing, bro, the 3 Spider-Man swing onto the head of the Statue of Liberty was wild. That shit is my wallpaper.
Yeah.
It's so good. So good. That by itself deserves to be in a museum somewhere.
Deserves to be in a museum. I'm going to bring up that image just so it's in the stream officially. When people go back and watch this, they'll see it. If you haven't seen the movie, spoiler alert, I am about to show you one of the greatest scenes you have ever seen in the history of comic books. The history of comic books. Okay?
The whole Peter 1, Peter 2, and the Peter 3. Yeah, that was good too.
This scene right here.
I like that.
And in all their stances, in all their Spider-Man stances at that. Wow. I just never thought. And I didn't even know that I wanted to see this. You know, like, if you would have asked me 5 years ago, do you want to see a spoiled Spider-Man? I might be like, I don't know. That might sound like y'all might fuck that up. Like, I don't know if I want to see that. But it's like the greatest gift I didn't know I wanted. Like,
no, really.
Wow.
And then whenever they're fighting and it's the fight is great, and then they start curing everyone, but then Doc Ock comes back and we think, oh shit, like, and he has Toby and Andrew like by the neck and stuff, and it looks like he's about to team up with Electro, but then, you know, he shows up, starts helping them. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. That was cool. Showing that he actually is like pure again.
We have this great scene here where they re-link up when they're getting their asses kicked, and then they're like, we have to work together, that whole Avengers scene, and then you have the full Spider-Man meme in full effect. Thank you. I saw this, I was like, okay, this is the one thing I was waiting on. I was like, if they do the Spider-Man point, this movie is perfect. The only thing that could have made it better was a post-credit scene of them all doing the dance. That is the only thing that would have made this better. That could have been, and I'm hoping it's in the delete. It's on the Blu-ray. It's got to be. I want to see Tom, Andrew, and Toby walking outside of a club doing the Spider-Man 3 dance. Okay, but incredible. So we have that scene. We have Doctor Strange come back on the scene. We have Ned and them trying to close a portal, and Doctor Strange comes back, talks to the Spider-Man, and is like, all right, I'm going to send all y'all home. At that point, we have Green Goblin come back. Can Spider-Man come out to play?
He's returned.
He has returned. Doc Ock helps a little bit, but he still gets that box containing the spell to blow up. So now the spell has released, and you see the multiverse is cracking open. And all these threats are about to come in, and Doctor Strange is trying to hold it. The whole tower is destroyed, and MJ falls off
Green
the
Goblin
tower.
blows up the whole shit, and then
you see
she
MJ
falls.
falling. We have that classic scene of MJ falling, and none other than Andrew Garfield after Tom tries to get her, and he's taken by the glider. And Andrew Garfield says no. And that's that second scene that's a tearjerker, man.
Bro, the redemption is crazy.
Sweet redemption.
That shit got me. That one got me for real. Especially whenever they landed. Yeah. Andrew Garfield, my boy, looked like he was finna burst into tears.
Yeah. Wow. Just no words, bro. Incredible. And then we have Ned, who did invent sex, he was saved by Doctor Strange's cape, and it was incredible scene. That scene was another great scene. I didn't know I wanted. It was just hilarious. Just oh my god, amazing. We have Peter taken by the glider. So this is what I want y'all to see too. By Andrew saving MJ, he's now saved Peter from his fate. Okay, of his woman dying. Now we have Peter versus the Green Goblin. Peter takes a pumpkin bomb out of the glider and blows the glider up, and they land on Captain America's constructed shield that's going to go on the Statue of Liberty. And the dialogue from Norman, and he goes, "Poor Peter, too weak to send me back to my own universe, too weak to send me back to die." And Peter says, "No, I just want to kill you myself." Woo! And this part right here, you can feel in Tom Holland's performance. He's like, "You killed my aunt. I'm gonna fucking murder you. Like, it's over. Like,
it's wraps.
That, like, you get nothing. I'm not pulling a punch. No, it's done." And they proceed to fight, and he beats the dog shit out of the Green Goblin, picks up the glider.
Oh, he works him, dude.
Works him like the WWE, Dragon Ball Z, works him. Picks up the glider and is about to destroy him and kill the goblin, and Toby redeems himself by stopping Goblin's death this time and saving Norman Osborn. Even though Toby gets stabbed, Andrew sends the cure. He cures Norman Osborn. Everyone is cured now, so they can go back to their universe. He goes up to Doctor Strange and says, "Hey, I screwed all this up. Make everybody forget Peter Parker."
Yep, and that'll fix everything, which it does, whenever he recasts the spell.
He goes and says his goodbyes to MJ and to Ned.
And
says he'll go and find them, but the spell makes everybody forget who Peter Parker is. And that's
the final scene, not only the final scene, but the final two scenes, bro. That's like the hardest shit to watch. First we have him become classic Spider-Man. He is in a cheap apartment. He's paying rent, and he's only got a couple things. He has to make his own suit, but MJ's working at a coffee shop. She's a waitress like MJ is, and he goes and finds MJ and Ned, but he sees them and he realizes they're happy. They got an MIT and they're safe. They're not in danger. And right before he tells her who he is, he sees that she has that scar. And that reminds him that the great responsibility is in his head. I already know. And he realizes, no, I can't put her in danger. And he decides not to say who she is, who he is. And such a tough scene. That shit is hard to watch.
Then we get to see Peter's new suit, which is great. Classic Spider-Man suit. He takes inspiration from both of his brothers.
So good. It looks so good.
It's incredible. I can't wait to see the next Spider-Man flick now, to see where that'll go. So, great movie, man. The next post-credit scene the first post-credit scene is pulled. So this confirms that the scene at the end of Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, was directed by John Watts, is a part of No Way Home. Eddie Brock and Venom did not interfere with the fight because Eddie Brock, the way his character is, he didn't really care to. He just went to a bar in San Francisco and was talking to Danny Rojas and, was just like, what the hell? But a little bit of the Venom symbiote is left in the MCU. So we will see the Venom symbiote somehow, some way in the MCU in the future. We absolutely will.
Right.
And the next after credit scene, which I did not expect, was a full trailer for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which I was not expecting to see, and it blew my mind. If you've seen What If, you've seen Loki, you've seen WandaVision, all those tie into this. Montati, I don't know if you saw him yet. I'm going to get you my Disney Plus stuff again. Log in, bro. When you got time, watch it.
Oh, yeah, I do need to watch them.
Watch it, bro. Especially WandaVision, Loki, and at least 1 or 2 episodes of What If. A lot of What If is trash, but the Doctor Strange one is good, and the last one is good. So, incredible trailer. Gonna be a cool movie. As we're gonna wrap this up, man, what were your overall takeaways from the movies? How would you rate the movie critically, and how would you rate it as a fan? And are you excited, and what do you expect to see in the next Spider-Man films?
All right, so first, I'm gonna end on a good note. So, if we're going critically, this movie definitely has some sort of pacing issues in the beginning, and most of the plot points that were essentially ripped from the previous film are scrapped within 30 minutes. His whole like him being detained and like on trial didn't really hold that much weight in the grand scheme of the entire film, but it doesn't really detract from the overall story, which is them moving straight into the multiverse, which I mean, I don't got a problem with because it was cool to see. But in like narrative standpoint, it kind of like took away a little bit because you're like, well, I mean, he's gonna be accused of all this stuff, and then they're just gonna drop all the charges when obviously those drones are his. I mean, he has the glass. He literally has the glasses. They took a picture of the glasses for evidence, and I mean, it's whatever. But besides that, like I said, after Doc Ock shows up, the movie is, I'd say, flawless.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. But as a fan, it's like hands down my favorite movie of all time. Not only just comic movie, not only Spider-Man movie, just favorite movie of all time. Like, the fact that they were able to pull this off is wild. Like, I was one of the people that was like, I didn't doubt any of the spoilers or anything else coming out. Like, come on now. The movie was delayed like 3-4 times. Like, there's no way they don't get everyone in the movie. Like, I kind of expected it. I didn't know about the Charlie Cox thing, but everything else, I kind of expected it. But
absolutely,
they're never going to be able to do this again. No. So I'm glad I was able to experience it
in our lifetime.
Day one. Yeah.
Dude, in our lifetime, we got 2 of the biggest crossovers. They failed the Star Wars one. They failed it. But this one, Disney and Sony got right.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed. I would say critically, I'd have to agree. It had a little bit of pacing issues in the beginning. And I do think this is a theater experience. Once this is on
for sure.
Blu-ray, and in 20 years when people just watch the series and this just comes in the series, people will still like this one as one of their top favorite movies. I do still think this is if not the best MCU movie, the only MCU movie I think is actually a better film is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. In my opinion, that's the best one they've made.
No, that was definitely a good movie. I saw that when it came out.
Yeah, just a political thriller, themes of the real world. That's a great film. But
yeah.
So I would say critically, I would give this movie about a 9 out of 10. Right now it sits at 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, which means 98% of people think it's fresh with critics. I would give it
good, dude.
90% critically, but as a fan, as an MCU fan, as a person who likes comic book movies, and as a person who likes going to the theater, as a film fan, same as you. This is, I think, my favorite, or it's like that comic. It's just so special. This is the most special comic movie I think I've ever seen and ever will be. The most special one. Me personally, I didn't know what to expect from Shang-Chi. So when I saw it, especially after Eternals, like, it swept me away and has become, like, I've already seen it a couple more times on Disney Plus. It's just like my favorite, like, we like anime and shit. It was like MCU anime. So
yeah, honestly,
that was probably my favorite one of the year. But this was my favorite movie experience of the year. This was my most anticipated movie of the year. 10 out of 10 from a fan standpoint, 9 out of 10 critically. We want to know what y'all think. If you watch this movie later, tell us down in the comments. How'd you like No Way Home? What was your favorite part? My favorite line in the whole movie: Norman's on sabbatical, honey. My favorite line. Man, thank y'all for checking it out, man. And I do want to also tell y'all, I should have said it in the beginning, but Montati has a brand new channel. Make sure y'all go check out that channel where he'll be playing Dokkan.
Yes.
I know he'll have separate channels where he'll be doing other content. We had a stream yesterday, and it seems like that people are okay with me doing Dokkan and other content on the one channel. So we'll start it like this now, and we'll have a lot more movie discussions. We have a lot more films coming out. So we look forward to talking to y'all. Let the people know where they can reach you, Montati.
Yeah, so the new channel is just Montati Dokkan, basically, and I'm moving all of my Dokkan content from it's not really, it's the Dokkan channel is going to be the main channel now, but my other channel that y'all know is kind of like the one that I've built up this far is that's gonna be literally everything that's not Dokkan. So
Cool.
yeah, I'll be uploading more Pokemon stuff,
Yeah,
like
nice.
like Spider-Man content. I do want to make a video, and then anime reviews and stuff like that. All of that will be on that other channel. As y'all can see, I rebranded a little bit, got a new profile picture and all that, banner and stuff. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes, man. Hey, well, thank y'all for watching, man. Thank y'all for tuning in, those of you that came. And man, it was a great movie for us. Let us know what you thought, and we'll talk to y'all again. Peace.